This little wizard cat. Hey, what magic are you gonna do today, mister? So my aunt has an amazing garden, and she's the one who gave us all of these geraniums, which a couple of them I need to do some taking care of, but we've got some really pretty geraniums. And today she gave me a ton more. So I've got this, there's a special name for these, and I can't remember anymore. But yeah, she just kept giving us more and more and more. Don't look at the dog here on the bottom of the car. But look at that one. Look how crazy that one was. That's beautiful. And then she also gave us cuttings for some of the ones that I really thought were cute. Oh, and she gave us some of these little teeny guys, which will get bigger. They're like a succulent. And but these are cuttings of some of the other ones I really liked. And we'll see how they do. Look at this one. Isn't that beautiful? That one is dead. And then we got these ones. And then this one's a little different than the other ones that we have, so I thought that was a really cool one. I still can't get over how striking the color is on this. It's like neon. This beautiful neon orange. Hi, I'm Amy, and this is A-Star Reads, and would you believe it's time for a Sunday Sum Up? I wouldn't believe it, but it is. I'm bringing Sunday Sum Ups back. I'm trying. This is my attempt. And the reason I say it's my attempt because I have not done one for a while, for one. So do I remember how to do these? I don't know. But also, I got a lot of B-roll footage, but I have not actually filmed any reviews for the books that I read during that time. So like I have a bunch of books that I need to do reviews for. It's so daunting. Some of the books I need to review I read a while ago. And so I'm like, do I remember anything about these, or will I be able to say anything sufficient about them? So I'm gonna keep those reviews probably pretty short. And I'm just gonna like give a rating, give a brief synopsis, just so you know what the book's about, in case you're interested in picking it up. And also what I thought about it. You know, in some books I may have thought more about, and some books I may not. Some of them were part of a series, so I'm not going to give you that much information about it, just maybe like a general tone sort of thing. But yeah, I just want to get somewhat caught up with these. I probably won't get caught up with all of those on this video because I'm just trying to stretch those muscles again, get back into the groove. So it might be next week that I'll finish off going over all the books that I have read during the period that I was not doing my Sunday Sum Ups. And yeah, it's kind of daunting. I don't think that's why I put it off for so long. I think part of the problem was that I was really busy, and just making the time for that video every week was really difficult. But I'm also really busy right now. School has gone this term. It started with a bang. Let's just put it that way. I have one class in particular that there's a lot of conflict between professor and students, and that is really rough. It's very uncomfortable, and I'm hoping it resolves itself and that we can finish out the term without other crazy confrontations, because it's really awkward, but it's also a class we all need. It's been a week. I feel like it's been a very quick week, meaning like it went by so quickly, and I was like, wait, it's the weekend again already? But then also it feels like it's been a year because it was just so stressful in a lot of ways. But I am just gonna do what I can. I really want to enjoy October. I really want to enjoy the spooky season. I have great spooky books that I'm very excited about, but I also have some really big books that I'm a little, like, I'm excited about them, but I'm nervous about them. And I have a lot of books that I did not complete in September. You know, life gets crazy and we have to just adjust, and that's okay. And I will tell you at the end of this video all the books that I'm currently working on, and some of these have been put on the back burner for now because especially this last week I really did not have any time to read, and this weekend I wanted to do a little 24-hour readathon to get caught up on some books, or actually to start all my short reads for October. Like, that was the plan, and I was so excited about it, and I was planning for it, and I have so much homework. I have a whole bunch of assignments that are due on Sunday, and I know you're seeing this on Sunday, but it's Saturday for me. Assignments due on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I'm like, I don't know where I'm supposed to find extra time. And I've been trying to manage my time well, because my goal this term, my goal is to not be stressed, to work on my schoolwork, and understand that there will be pressure put on me because it's difficult. There's a lot of stuff I need to do, but also like quality of life. I wanted to make sure I had quality of life this term, and it's slipping out of my fingers so quickly. But I did take Cece for a walk yesterday, so I'm trying to eke in those moments when I can. And one of the classes I'm taking this term is physical education. So like in Washington, we have to learn how to teach physical education, just in case we're in a district or an area where an accredited physical education teacher is not required. And so like in some small schools, the teachers are actually the PE teachers. And so we have to have a course at least to teach us about the standards and how to create activities and lessons for PE. So I'm doing that right now, which is nice because every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 a.m. I get to work out. And that is a step forward because in the last few terms, I have not got much physical activity, in which I tend to like physical activity, but I've just gotten so busy that it's not one of the things I've been prioritizing. So I'm trying to prioritize that as well. So like everything is just happening. I'm busy and I am still excited though. And my morale is really good right now. And so then the only thing is that one class I'm taking and I'm just hoping it gets better because it was there's been kind of ugly moments in this whole thing. And so I'm hoping that it gets better. So basically what the format of this video is going to be like is that one, I'm going to tell you what's been going on in my life and give you a bit of an update. Check, I did that. And then two, I've got a bunch of B-roll that I'd like to share with you. And it'll give you kind of an idea of what things I got into over the last month and a half. Three, we're going to be talking about books that I read over the past month and a half with little short reviews. And then finally, I'll give you an update on the books I'm currently reading. I have brought in a lot of books and I will show you footage of a couple of hauls that I brought in, like gifts that were given to me. But as far as like all the books that I hauled over the last month and a half, I'm probably not going to go over those. So it's just too much to even think about what I bought. And I think that that's pretty much it. So sit back, relax, and let's kind of turn back time and see what happened over the past August and September. It's time for some reviews. Okay, so I'm excited about talking about some of the books I read back in August and September, but I will say that I'm not going to talk about all the ones I read in August and September because I do have 2 vlogs that I came out with recently that include reviews. And I talked about those books in depth in those videos. And then there's also a couple other books that I read during August and September that I'm not going to talk about because they're for other videos and they're for special videos. So I'm just going to leave those particular ones out. So first I'd like to talk about Genderqueer, and this is a memoir graphic novel about Maia Kobabe. And E goes by EMR pronouns, which is a pronoun convention I didn't know anything about. And I think it's very important to try and use these pronouns when someone asks you to, because it's really about them, it's not about you. And I'm working hard to understand identity and sexuality. I think it's important for me as a human being, obviously, but I also think it's important because I'm going to be a teacher. I need to know how to support all of my students and recognize them the way they want to be recognized. And so this is important to me. So I was really excited to read this graphic novel. There are a lot of very personal and very physical moments reflected in this story that E was sharing because it was part of their experience. So I think that go into this knowing that, so that you don't go into this thinking, oh, that's a little too much TMI, because there are moments that are very personal, like I said, but that is their experience. And so in order to understand their identity, E had to go through this process of understanding their body. And so I think it was vital to the story that he was trying to tell, but I do think it could be uncomfortable for some people, and I did notice that in some of the reviews, and that's because it's a graphic novel, right? So there are visual depictions of certain things. So I gave this one 4 stars, and the reason I gave it 4 stars is not because of their experience, because it's a memoir. Who am I to be judging anybody's experience? That's ridiculous. It's their life. But what I thought didn't work quite as well for me in this one was the pacing of this. And the end of the story was so abrupt. It was so abrupt. We just ended and we didn't get any resolution whatsoever. So it made me think, like, is E planning on doing another one in the future about Air life going forward? But yeah, the formatting is the main reason why I'm giving it 4 stars, because I can't really judge it based off the story alone, because the story is someone's personal experience. I will say that I do highly recommend this book if you, for one, like graphic novels. And I also recommend picking this up if you're trying to understand more about gender identity. This is not representative of everybody who is non-binary, for sure. And there are people who reviewed this and said, like, well, this is very different than my own experience. So make sure you keep that in mind, that this is one person's experience and that it's not going to represent the whole, but it still is a great opportunity for the reader to understand more about the process of understanding identity, understanding sexuality, and understanding how a person gets along in a world that does not make room for various genders. In a very binary world, what's it like for people who are non-binary? Okay, so I just got a box in the mail today from my wonderful friend Jessie, and I love it because she put the sticker on here that says, "Friendship is certainly the finest balm for the pangs of disappointed love." And that's from Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. And Jessie and I both know that that's true. And look, she also put a bug on there because she knows that I love bugs. That's a wonderful cicada. And I miss cicadas, actually, because we don't get them here in Washington. So let's see what she gave me. Whoa, it's a box full of amazing things. And then she's also clearing out some of her books, too. So I think I got a whole bunch of books. So there's a card. Oh, that's gorgeous. Okay, so she said that she had put books in here, but it wasn't full enough, so she got me some other goodies to go with it. So these are pot holders, and they're beautiful. Look at that. Ooh, perfect for the season. Although I'm not ready for fall yet, but, you know, we'll pretend. Oh, and there's a Christmas one as well. I love it. I love it. Keep calm and swim faster. Yeah, so I have an irrational fear of sharks, but I love sharks. Like, I have this weird love of yet irrational fear of sharks. I'll put that on my surfboard if I ever have one. Ooh, what's this? Oh, a happy planner! Oh, this is so cute. See the beauty in every day. Oh, shoot. This is amazing. This is gorgeous. I guess I'm going to become a happy planner girl. And, oh wow, she spoiled me. Jessie. How cool. Planner companion accessories. Oh my goodness. That is so beautiful. I do love Disney. Okay, what do we have in here? The Essential Homer, translated and edited by Stanley Lombardo. Ooh, what is that? Oh! Selections from the Iliad and the Odyssey. This will probably help me in trying to better understand the Iliad and the Odyssey because it's selections. And it looks like there's notes in here too, so maybe Jessie or somebody wrote in it, so I'll be able to read what they wrote. So that's awesome. I could use all the help I can get. Coffee, Ithaca House Blend. Ooh, I always love coffee. And there's something attached to, oh, how cute. Look at those. Oh, they're so cute. Little monkey and banana. Those are adorable. This looks like an art book. It says photographs by Teresa Stielakova. Oh, how cool. It's like question and answers. I don't know at all what this is, but I'll be looking forward to trying it out. Oh, Dave Eggers. What did he write? He wrote something else. Heroes of the Frontier. This says, a captivating, often hilarious novel of family loss and the curse of a violent America. That sounds rough, but good. Oh, candles. Little fall candles to go. That's cute. Oh, that's wonderful. More coffee from Ithaca. Ithaca is gorgeous. Common Sense by Thomas Paine. I've definitely read excerpts of this, like in different economics class and stuff, but I haven't read that whole thing. It's not too long, so, you know, at some point, you should probably read that. Susceptible. Ooh, that looks cool. So this looks like a graphic novel. And it is. Oh, that looks dark. Nice. Bringing it back to the 90s. This is what we loved back in the 90s. Magic Eye. What else is in here? Dexter, the very good goat. How cute. So she said she also put some books in here for my class. So Magic Eye for the kids, Dexter, the very good goat for the kids. Red Sings from Treetops, A Year in Colors. That's beautiful. Then we've got 10 Plays by Euripides. So, have I read anything by Euripides? I don't know, but now I have 10 plays. Stickers. Happy Planner, Teacher's Rule. Oh, how cute. So this is for when I become a teacher. She's giving me this Happy Planner for my teaching days. So this is a little ways out, but I will definitely be using these. And that's so cool. Let's see. Stickers. Oh, these are be stronger than your excuses. You can. End of story. Absolutely you can. And then we've got Sophocles, Antigone, Oedipus the King, and Electra. Oh, I don't think I've read any of those yet, so that's fantastic. Another one translated by Stanley Lombardo. So Hesiod. Hesiod? Yeah. So I'm looking forward to finding out more about these and see what I make of them. Thank you, Jazzy. I feel super, super spoiled. You got me so many amazing things in here. I do want to read some of these ancient classics. It's a little intimidating, that's all. So now I want to talk about the Prime Mating Agency series, because this is a fun series that I ended up picking up thinking I would never read it. I had seen Gavin from How to Train Your Gavin read I Married a Lizardman. My mom and my best friend Shell picked it up, and they just started loving it. They loved the series, and I was like, I do not want to read a smutty romance about lizardmen. But it ended up coming up for me because of a prompt that was like a book you never planned on reading, that you never thought you would read. And so I read I Married a Lizardman, and okay, it's definitely smutty. If you don't like smutty books, don't get into this series. But it was so much fun, and it was actually a lot more heartwarming than you would think it'd be. And these are all sci-fi smutty romances is what they are. And it's very light sci-fi, so it's not like in-depth sci-fi. There's not going to be a whole bunch of scientific talk that you're like, what the heck are they talking about? Hold on one second, my dog's trying to run away. And before I go off talking about these books, let me tell you that this is by Regine Abel. I think her stories are self-published. I can't find actual publishing information, but based on what I've seen, it looks like all of her books are self-published. And so if you're looking to support a Black female author who is self-published and is writing fun, smutty sci-fi romances, look no further, because these stories are a bunch of fun. And I ended up reading 3 of them so far. I Married a Lizardman, I gave 4 stars to. I Married a Naga was my favorite at this point, and I gave that one 4.5 stars. And then I gave I Married a Birdman 3 stars. In this series, there's some kind of organization, this world something organization. I can't remember the name of it, but they're trying to bring technology and peace to all the different planets within the universe. There are planets that have been influenced by other planets, other worlds, and therefore they're like technology driven at this point. But then there are planets that have not, and they're supposed to be left alone and not messed with. So one of the things that they do is they have this Prime Mating Agency, which is, there's this bird guy. He's not the Birdman from I Married a Birdman, but I don't remember what type of bird that he is. He acts as a matchmaker. He's like an extreme empath that can basically see into people's souls, see who they are, and see who would be their perfect match. And he uses this ability to marry people with another person who will be a benefit to not only their own lives and their love, but also a benefit to their, wow, that's loud, but also a benefit in some way of accomplishing this mission of, I'd say globalizing, but universalizing the planets. I don't know how to explain it. Like in the first story, in I Married a Lizardman, there's this woman who, because she's either the second or third daughter, she's not the first daughter, because she's, I think, the third daughter, she has no prospects for a good future. The bird's Gold, who's part of this organization, is to marry her off in a place where she will be of use to that place, and she will have a home where she can make a life for her own. It's very consensual, so don't think that this is something where people are being forced into a marriage. There has been one instance where they didn't have much of a choice but to get married, but there was never an instance of forced anything. There was no forced copulation. There was no, like, nobody did anything that they absolutely did not want to do, and there was a lot of consent between these couples. At least that has been my experience so far. I haven't read all the rest of the series yet. I will say one thing about this series: it is very formulaic, and for me it isn't a problem at the moment because I'm only on book 3, but I noticed that Shell and Mom have been feeling as they've gone further along that they're like, well, it's just kind of the same own thing. So I wouldn't say read these one after the other. It's more about the fun of getting to know new characters, but not necessarily that the formula is going to be that much different. I would say spread these out and read them when you're feeling like something light. And that's kind of what I did. It was when I needed a break from other books that I would just pop one of these in, and they were perfect for that. As far as the smut, it is smutty, and I was a little worried that I'd be like, I don't know about this. It's kind of uncomfortable because, you know, sort of taboo. These are aliens, but they're patterned after animals. And it didn't feel that weird. It didn't feel that uncomfortable while I was reading it. So just, it may feel that way for other people, but it didn't for me, and I was very skeptical of it. I know I'm moving around a lot in this video, but there's a lot going on around me. It's like the powers that be don't want me to record this particular review. Like I said, Lizardman I gave 4 stars to. It was my initiation into the series. I really enjoyed it. It was fun. I liked the characters. Naga was fantastic, and the characters I absolutely loved. The smut was amazing. Everything about that book, like I said, 4.5 stars. And then the third one that I read so far was Birdman, and I did enjoy, I don't know, 3 stars. It was very basic as far as romance goes, but I just didn't care for the characters that much, and the story wasn't as interesting to me as it was for Mom and Shell, because they both rated this one higher than I did. So it'll be interesting to other people. It just wasn't as interesting to me as the other 2. So the next one is I Married a Merman, and I know Shell didn't like that one that much. So I'll be curious to see how I feel about Merman. It sounds fun, but we'll see. Okay, so let's talk about The Dutch House by Ann Patchett. Now, this is a book that I picked up solely because of the narration on the audiobook. I found out that it was narrated by Tom Hanks. I've been going through a weird phase right now. I just want to listen to audiobooks narrated by famous actors. And it's been going well so far, especially listening to an audiobook done by Tom Hanks, who is an actor that I absolutely love. Now, I gave this book 3.75 stars. A lot of times when it comes to literary fiction, for me, it reminds me a lot of modern art or abstract art. Sometimes you'll see an exhibit or a painting or something that you really love and it touches you, you feel things, you're like, oh, wow, that meant so much to me. And then sometimes you'll see others and you'll see the merit in it. You'll see that the artist has done amazing work, that their skill is top notch, but this particular painting does not touch you in whatever way that you need to be touched to feel really strong feelings about it. And
that is how I feel about literary fiction a lot of times, because you're talking about very personal stories, and sometimes they feel like they're very slow moving, but that's because you're really getting to know the characters or the experiences that they had. And there are times when it's an interesting story, but it didn't touch me very deeply. And 3.75 stars from me is a good rating. It means I enjoyed myself, but it doesn't mean that it'll be one of my favorite books that I look back on and say, that story was so profound or what have you. And that happens sometimes. And it's not necessarily a problem with the story or the writer. That has a lot to do with my personal taste. So one thing I will say about Ann Patchett, though, and this has nothing to do with Tom Hanks, but maybe his delivery helped, was that Ann Patchett knows how to write dialogue. Some of the best dialogue writing I have ever read. And I was really impressed by that, because I feel like a lot of times in books, some books worse than others, you can imagine people saying these things back and forth, but it doesn't feel as realistic as, imagine when you're talking to your friend and you've got a conversation going and you guys are both really into it, or you have your own little quirks that make your conversation with this friend unique from, say, your conversation from somebody else. And so I thought Ann Patchett was masterful in the dialogue. And so, of course, it made me want to read more of Ann Patchett's works and see if maybe this particular story was just not the one that had me the most excited. Quick, brief synopsis is this is about two children whose father bought this huge, amazing, grand house called the Dutch House. And their mother leaves at one point, and the children's father remarries. He dies, and then it's kind of the story of what happens to these kids, what happens to the Dutch house, and what happens within their whole lifetime, and how it all comes back to the Dutch house. So if you're looking for an amazing audiobook, narrated by Tom Hanks, and you like literary fiction, you like something that's, a little more character-driven, pacing's not fast, and the plot is not this huge plot that has a lot of twists and turns or anything. This is just looking at the lives of these people. Then I recommend reading The Dutch House by Ann Patchett. I would have liked to have gotten more reviews into this video, but I'm running out of daylight and I need to finish editing this video and get it up for you guys. So in the next Sunday Sum Up, I will hopefully include a lot more reviews and get the majority of these finished so that we can move on into what's current. But let's play a game now, and the game is, how many books has Amy started and not yet finished? Yeah, this is a dangerous game. So before I get into the physical books, I will talk about the current audiobook I'm listening to, and that is Heartburn by Nora Ephron. And this is a book which I'm finding at the moment to be fairly outdated, and it's one of those books I don't think aged well. But the reason I picked this up is because it was narrated by Meryl Streep, and like I said, I'm on this kick where I want to read books narrated by famous actors, and I'm really loving her narration. She's fantastic. The book itself, not super excited about it, but it's okay. Like, I've had a couple of good laughs, but like I said, it hasn't really aged well. It really hasn't. And so I like Nora Ephron's movies, like Sleepless in Seattle and stuff. I think I'll stick to those. But this was written in 1996, and that's a good thing to keep in mind if you ever go and read Heartburn by Nora Ephron. So I think the last time I had a Sunday Sum Up, or maybe the last time I talked to you, I did mention that I have not continued Braiding Sweetgrass yet, and that is still true. I've only read 100 pages of this, but because this is essays and short stories, I don't feel bad about it. I would love to continue on, and especially since we're coming into fall, I feel like this is a very appropriate read for fall. It's a book that I want to savor and enjoy anyways, and I feel like I could easily read and reread these short stories in here, so I don't mind just having it there, so whenever I get a chance to pick it up, I will pick it up and continue. Next, let's talk about Reflection by Elizabeth Lim, because this is the next book that I need to read for Aurelium, and I haven't
made it very far yet. So let's see, I'm on page 62. Yeah, not very far. And I do want to continue working on Aurelian books, but this is not going to necessarily be my focus at the moment. I need to get through this book, and I will. But if I don't get through this one in October, then November is a month that I'm actually going to be doing catch-up mood reading. So just to warn you ahead of time, I'm not going to have a TBR in November because I need to catch up on some of these reads. We're getting close to the end of the year. December is my 12 Days of Christmas Carol Advent Calendar Challenge. Yes, it's going to be back. And I want to make sure I get some of these books finished before I do that. Because once I do that, I really don't have an opportunity to read anything else. Then we've got The Threat by Andrew McCabe, which I had started during my 69-hour readathon, and I have not been able to continue it. I do want to finish this book. I want to continue, and I was enjoying what I was reading. I'm on page 100. I don't think it's going to happen right yet, but I'm hoping to get to it. I don't want to leave it too long from the point when I started reading it compared to when I finish it. So we'll see. Fingers crossed I can get to it, but it's another one of those ones where life got busy. And then The Hacienda by Isabel Canas. I also started this during the 69-hour readathon, and I'm currently on page 105. So I seem to be able to get to 100 pages on all these books. I think I'd probably do it so that I don't have punishments for them. But this is actually going to be a very appropriate book to read for October because it does have super spooky vibes, and I think that it will be perfect, and I'm enjoying the atmosphere that it's creating. So I'm hoping to continue on, especially in October, because I think this is just a perfect spooky book, and I really am enjoying it because I love Gothic novels. Then one I've been actually actively reading recently because I started it and then I was loving the writing so much that I have been in the mood to read this. This was one of those ones where I'm like, I'm in the mood to read this. I'm just gonna read this. And that is Midnight in Everwood by M.A. Kuzniar. I have been enjoying this so much. It's not a very fast-paced read so far, like a ton isn't happening, but the details in this, the writing is gorgeous. I love the writing. I think it's very whimsical, very mood-setting. And actually, this would be a perfect book to read this month because it is kind of creepy. There's a lot of dark elements to this. And so even though it's a winter-type book, I think it would work well in this month because the vibe it's giving is, I don't want to say it's Gothic, but it has a similar feel that Gothic novels do, where it's got that darkness. And there seems to be some like underlying evil that we're going to find out more about. So I actually will probably pick this up sooner rather than later because I've been enjoying this and picking it up for like 10 minutes before I go to sleep each night because that's all the time I've had for reading lately. Then we have my buddy read, and I'm not the only one who's been having trouble with this buddy read. It's just been very busy. We have all been very busy, and so I've been plodding along on All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. In our Instagram group, we have a lot of like back and forth with thoughts when it comes to audios, and I just haven't been able to catch up on that, let alone finish this book. But when I pick it up, I get through chapters very quickly because the chapters are super short. And I'm really loving this. The writing is it's brilliant. It's beautiful. What the author is doing is very clever. So I'm on page 254. That's where I'm at with this one. So I'm making good progress. It's just slow for me. Slow progress because we're trying to comment a lot and discuss the book. And then finally, one that I picked up today because I was giving plasma and I needed something simple to read because when I'm at plasma, I just like to read something easy. Also, this is due at the library. I picked up Tokyo Ghoul Volume 4 by Sweet Ishida, and I'm on page 80. So I'm not necessarily the quickest reader when it comes to manga, and I'm kind of taking my time because this one in particular, like the last one I really enjoyed, and I was like, oh, I can't wait to move on to the next one. And I'm not feeling as excited about this one at this point, so I hope that changes and I start feeling more excited about it. But I'm going to continue working on this one because I think it's appropriate for the haunted vibes that it gives, being that it's about ghouls, and I need to get it back to the library. And yeah, that's it. That's what I meant by I've started a lot of books recently and I have not been able to finish them. So it's not great, and I have a lot of books to read this month, so that's why I'm thinking November is going to be a month to catch up. And I'm kind of excited about that. I hope you're having a wonderful week, and I hope the week to come is even more amazing and you get a lot of reading read. I hope I get a lot of reading read. And let me know in the comment section down below, what was your favorite book you read this week? If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you can see what happens in the next week. Will I get any books read? I don't know. I'm probably just gonna start new books because I have new books to start. So we'll see if I make any progress. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later.